Let's try this new microphone out. Hopefully it's working. It is cold. So this is pretty much the 6-month mark of ownership with the world's cheapest Power Wagon. And I've had plenty of ups and downs with this truck. I'm still satisfied with the purchase, even though I've put a lot of work and time and effort into this truck. It's still less than a newer used truck in nicer condition. And hopefully this wind isn't picking up on the microphone. Oh yeah, I forgot to say in the other 2 videos what I actually paid for this truck, and I might as well just get it out right now. I paid $9,500 cash for this truck, and that actually kind of screwed me, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But yeah, $9,500 smackaronis for this truck. I thought it was a screaming deal. I knew I had to put a couple thousand into it, but it beats the hell out of a $25,000, $30,000 Power Wagon. I really didn't need a 2,500, but I wanted something a little bit bigger than a 1,500. That's kind of why I chose this one, and it was pretty much the only thing on the market at the time. And so far, I've probably got about $16,000 into this truck total, and that is with my debacle with the title and the guy I bought this from. Ended up having to get a bonded title for this truck. But through all the title work problems that I had, I still really enjoy this truck, and it's been serving me pretty good right now. Like I said, I paid $9,500 for the truck, and I've got about $16,000 into it, and that wasn't supposed to happen, but I was driving it with the vibration in the front end, and I thought, you know what, I'll just do it at the end of the week when I get home from work. And literally 5 miles from the house, the front drive shaft yeeted itself and cracked the transfer case. So I had to buy a reman transfer case for this truck, along with redoing the whole front end and all the shocks. I didn't get too much footage of me doing all the control arms and the shocks. I'll go ahead and throw the clips that I do have up there just so you guys can see the old versus the new. Now also, when I got this truck, you couldn't actually take the key out of the ignition. I mean, you physically could, but it would just say damaged key or ineffective. I think it was damaged key. And you couldn't start the truck. You had to take a bunch of fuses out. You had to undo the battery, let everything decharge, put it back together, and then you had to pull the module apart, put the fuse back in, start the truck, and then put the module back together. It was a headache, so I literally left the key in it for like 5 months. And I was like, whatever, if someone wants it, I guess they can have it, because I didn't have a title at the time. But now that I have a title, I don't want anyone to steal it. So the key fob thing has been fixed, and I'll go ahead and throw what clips I have fixing that. I didn't get actually any footage of the locksmith fixing it, but of me tearing the module out and putting the new one back in. So I've got the knee panel off, taking out the wireless ignition node. So this is your wireless ignition node. This is programmed to your computer or your PCM, you cannot replace this and the PCM at the same time. You have to replace one at a time and program it to one another because they work off each other. So this right here, if you could see inside there, I know the lighting's terrible, but it kind of sticks in there, the part you depress, and it's stuck in there now. But this is what turns your truck on and off. There it is, came back out, right there, right there. But anyway, the spring in there is worn out, and it doesn't recognize this key unless you reset the PCM. This is just one of those things that happens with these wireless control modules. You just put a bunch of cycles on it, and it eventually wears out to where it doesn't pop back out. You see that? It didn't pop back out. But even with the ignition disconnected, it still reads a key. Here is the new one. This is a Dorman brand. This doesn't have the remote start. We'll go ahead and install this. It's clipped in. There you go, look at that. There's the new win, and here's my new keys I got to program with this, so I have spares. Key not programmed. So the truck will not start at this point because the win is not programmed to the PCM, and the keys obviously are not programmed to the WIM. Well, at this point we just gotta wait for the locksmith tomorrow. Everything comes on, windows go up, but if you turn the key all the way on, you have the security light that's on right now because it's not programmed. So, like I said, I just gotta wait for the locksmith tomorrow, and the truck should be running on its own key, and I can take it out. Yes. Check this out. Got my original key. Here's my new key. And oh, yes. Look at that. Nothing on the ignition. Oh, finally, I could pull the key out. One of the next things I was trying to track down for a while was that misfire, and it ended up being loose spark plugs on number 5, which I'm really thankful for because I didn't want it to be a camshaft failure. And then it came back intermittently. It would misfire, and don't get me wrong, my jank wiring job was to blame for that. So I ended up having to cut the pigtail off, and I've ordered one, got it in my other truck right now. All I gotta do is splice it in and plug it up. But right now, the misfire is gone, runs great. I didn't actually get any footage of us taking out the transfer case and replacing it. I just have a couple pictures of me and my buddies thrashing on it. It was one of those weekends where I just had to get it done and get this truck back up on the road. In between the truck kind of being down and not being down, right now it doesn't have 4-wheel drive, but I've still used this truck driving into town, around the property. I've even, on some other projects, ripped trucks apart with it. I'll throw some videos of that, me ripping the bed off of one of my projects that I had. I since got rid of that project because I was just way over my head with like 20 different projects that I couldn't get to, so I ended up selling that one. But it was fun tearing it apart. So what happened with the title on this truck was, it was a used car dealership. I went down there and looked at it and I paid cash, and I didn't think anything of it because it's a used car dealership, and I know they have, I think, what they call floor plans. Floor plans pretty much means that they don't hold the titles. Your new dealerships and your used dealerships usually don't do that. And didn't think anything of it. And then they went bankrupt. Ended up finding out that, one, they went bankrupt, he wouldn't return my calls, And then 2, he never filed the title work for it. So this truck just kind of disappeared into the ethernet of whatever. So I had to go through the whole rigmarole of out of state, Tennessee, Alabama, the DMV, my insurance company, the whole 9 yards. It was a huge, big ordeal on my back end, and I have the title now. So it's fixed, it's over with. It was just a huge inconvenience. And this is the first time that I've been ripped on a vehicle, and I've bought and sold probably at least 50 in my lifetime. And this has been the worst one to deal with. But I'm still happy I have it, and I'm happy that I have the title in my name now. I just did my own visual inspection on this truck. It was ran off the road. You could tell that the whole front end and everything underneath has been damaged in some sort of way. Front end was whacked out. It's had a it's had a transmission put in it very recently, and the truck doesn't even have 100,000 miles. So with the oil pan being smashed, all the bent brackets, transmission being replaced, all the skid plates being scratched, I think this truck drove off the road. Probably some 20-year-old working at the wildlife management area. That's where I found out that the dude lied to me. I went online trying to find anything on this truck, and I typed in the VIN number and had a couple VIN places run it. There was no money owed on it, which was a good thing, because I didn't want someone else to take my truck and me be out $10,000. With my findings, I found that it was at an Oklahoma government auction, and it was a wildlife management truck, which I actually think is a way better story than some farmer who trades in his trucks every 100,000 miles, because this thing is super beat. And to think, a wildlife management truck being a Power Wagon, like, dude, you were pimp. Riding around out there looking for like poachers or something, people without fishing license, and you're rocking this thing? Come on, like that's pretty sweet. 16 grand into the truck, and that beats a $30,000 truck pretty much on paper in the same condition. Yes, this one's got dents and scratches and all that, which is why I got it cheaper. I did have to pay the taxes on what the fair market value of this truck fixed was to Tennessee, which was kind of a, you know, at the end of the day, it's a $9,000 truck. I don't care how you cut it, you'd have to restore this old truck to make it worth 30 grand, and then you'd have 50 grand into a truck. Anyways, that was the title situation. The front end's fixed. Everything around the truck is pretty much fixed. Everything being said and done on this truck, again, still satisfied with my purchase. It definitely taught me a lot on trusting people's words. I don't know, that sounds bad, but this has been my first raw deal on a vehicle ever, and I probably had 50 or 60 vehicles, and this is the one that I thought would be easy, and it was a headache from the start. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little series of the world's cheapest Power Wagon. It was definitely a headache on my end and in the background, but overall I'm satisfied with the truck, and hopefully any other videos that I do of this truck will actually be like working it or driving it around or picking up projects or whatever, not actually just tinkering on it and fixing like mechanical, electrical stuff. Hopefully nothing else major goes wrong with this truck, and I'm crossing my fingers, but it is cold, and I'll see you guys later. Oh my God, why is it so cold?